What's up, everybody? It's your girl D with 8th House Energy, here to bring you some information that I think we all could use that would help us to get us through this cruel summer. Now, I'm only doing the negative aspects of the retrogrades that are going on in this video. I may do a video that talks about the positive aspects of it, but I feel that it's very important to do the video of the negative aspects of the retrogrades and all of the things that are going to be going on in July in reference to the planetary alignments and the energies, because you're going to see this affecting a lot of people, whether it's going on in your life, whether it's going on in your friends and family's life, whether it's going on in your colleagues or co-workers' lives, whether you see it going on in the workplace, whether you see it going on, in your city, your state, the nation, worldwide. This is affecting everybody. Right now, we are in the process of a transformation, a global spiritual transformation. This is not just affecting people locally. Like I said, this is everybody going through this. This is a planetary shift going on, and we are in the midst of it right now. And it's very important that we understand the things that we are going to see, the things that we are already seeing, the things that we are going to see, the things that we're going to possibly see and experience, whether it's through our situations, our friends and families, or if we turn on the news and see what's going on in the news, whether it's locally, worldwide, or what have you. We have a total of how many planets in retrograde in July alone? We have Jupiter, we have Pluto, we have Saturn, and we'll talk about those planets first because they went into retrograde in April. Okay, so we're seeing the effects of that right now. But what's going to happen as of July 2nd, we're going to have a solar eclipse, which is going to have effects that could last up to a year. Okay, a total solar eclipse. That's July 2nd. And then in July 8th, Chiron, the asteroid, the wounded healer asteroid, is going into retrograde on July 8th. Okay, and that's going to have a major effect on people worldwide as well. And then we're going to have the full moon in a partial lunar eclipse in Capricorn, the full moon in Capricorn, and a partial lunar eclipse. And that's going to be on July 16th. Okay, and we'll talk about some of the effects of that. And then retrograde planet, another retrograde planet that we'll talk about after we talk about Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter, and Chiron. Neptune. Neptune went into retrograde last week and went into retrograde on the 21st. All right. So we got 4 planets in retrograde in July. 5 planets. Mercury's going into retrograde. Okay. So we're going to have 5 planets in retrograde. We're going to have an asteroid in retrograde. All right. We're going to have a solar eclipse. And then we're going to have a full moon in Capricorn and a partial lunar eclipse. This is all going on in July. This is why I wanted to put this video out, because the energies are going to be everywhere. Now, this is not going to affect every single person in all of these ways that I'm going to describe, but you are going to see some things going on and you're going to be like, oh, okay, yeah, I checked out her video. I checked out some other videos about the different planetary retrogrades going on in July and the lunar eclipse, the solar eclipse, and I see what's going on. And this is the whole purpose of this video. It's just to put you on alert, so that if you start feeling weird and start feeling, tensions and things like that, energies going on all crazy, and, or you see it with your friends and family and things like that, that you have an understanding of it so that you could be a little bit more compassionate to the people around you and who are going through things. Let's face it, everybody is not into astrology, so everybody's not going to understand these things that are going on in their lives, these energies that they're feeling and the things that they're experiencing. They're not going to understand it. But you, as somebody who is, into this, the studies of energies and astrology and how it affects human behavior, you will be better equipped to be more compassionate, more understanding, and, in reference to yourself, being more patient to yourself, being more patient with others. This is just going to help you to get through the summer. Other than that, if you're not into astrology and you are having difficulties in life, or you see people who are having difficulties in life, just understand that some people it's going to be a cruel summer for some people. It really is, because there's a lot of energy going on. But let me get into it. So let's talk about the planets that already were in retrograde at the time of this video. Today is June 30th. All right, so we had 3 planets that were already in retrograde. And those planets are Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn. So let's talk about Jupiter, because Jupiter went into retrograde first. Jupiter is the planet of prosperity and good fortune. Okay? Jupiter rules the 9th house, and it's in retrograde in the 9th house. Now, Jupiter is about prosperity, good fortune. The 9th house is about foreign travel, foreign countries, culture, long distance travel, especially for religious purposes. Long distance travels, especially for higher education, and also deals with higher education in general, and experience through expansion, growth. Okay, whether it's just a small growth or growth on a monumental level, it just deals with growth and expansion, period, and spiritual knowledge. Okay, so when Jupiter, those are the things that Jupiter deals with. So when Jupiter visits your planet, a lot of time, well, your house, or a house where your planet is, or whatever's going on, when Jupiter visits, Jupiter usually is a planet people like to see visit, because Jupiter leaves great gifts of expansion, spiritual knowledge, higher education, more tolerance of different cultures around you, more tolerance of different spiritual beliefs, just an all-encompassing energy of love and understanding and appreciation for others outside of your culture. Okay? Now, when Jupiter's in retrograde, we talked about prosperity, good fortune, and expansion. Well, when it's in retrograde, some of the negative aspects that we'll see, and that's what we're going to talk about with these retrogrades, are some of the negative aspects that you're going to see, which is why I'm calling this the cruel summer. You're going to see a lot of people who are self-righteous, because you're dealing with the spiritual aspects here in the 9th house with Jupiter in retrograde. So you're going to see a lot of people who are going to be self-righteous. You're going to see people who are going to be taken advantage of based on spiritual, because a lot of people are going through transformation right now. You're going to have a lot of people who are going to be looking to their spiritual leaders for assistance during these times, with these crazy energies that are going to be going on this summer. So you're going to have to be careful. You may see people being taken advantage of, people being swindled, bamboozled, by spiritual leaders. Not all of them, but the ones who are self-righteous and the ones who are out for greed and who are out for, dominance and selfish reasons. Okay, so you're going to see some of that. You're going to see a lot of gluttony. You're going to see a lot of bigotry, racism, hatred, prejudice, because again, when Jupiter is, I would call it in the upright, you're going to see it's spiritual, it embraces culture. It embraces spirituality of all walks of life. So in the opposite, on the flip side of it, you're going to see people who are going to be intolerant of people from all walks of life. They're going to be racist, bigoted, self-righteous, my religion or no religion at all. That type of energy. You're going to see that. All right. You're going to see a lot of people showing off, because Jupiter is about prosperity. So people who are blessed financially, some of them may be taking the route where they are self-righteous and they are greedy. They get a little bit of money and then they'll take advantage of others to get that. You'll see a lot of that going on. You'll see a lot of people showing off their prosperity as well. So just keep that in mind. All right, so that's with Jupiter in retrograde. All right, so keep an eye out on some of those things. Now, and that's going to be in retrograde until August 11th. So we're definitely going to see that through the month of July. The next planet I'm going to talk about is Pluto. Okay, Pluto went into retrograde on April 24th. And it's going to be there all summer. It's going to be in retrograde in the 10th house, which is the house of career, your aspirations, your motivations, your reputation, what you're known as, who you're known as, and how people know you. So it began in retrograde in the 10th house on April 24th, and it's going to be there until October 2nd. So the whole summer. Now, Pluto is a very powerful and intense planet as far as the energies. Pluto is about death. It's about rebirth. It's about psychic abilities, the subconscious. It's about transformation. It's about power and, again, intensity. Okay? So in the 10th house, like I said, the 10th house is where it's in retrograde, And it represents, the 10th house itself represents like your ambitions, your motivations, your career aspirations, your reputation, who you're known as, who people know you as. Oh, that's Rhonda. She's the one who, can get you the good house. She's a great real estate agent. That's Rhonda. Oh, that's Jim. Jim is a great banker. He can get you the best, deals, as far as getting a loan for your house. Oh, that's Mary. Mary has, she owns a restaurant and they have the great, desserts there. Blah, blah, blah. Whatever you're known as, okay? Now, Pluto is about transforming. It doesn't matter if it's in retrograde or not. What Pluto does is it comes into your life and it says, you didn't make the change. I'm going to make it for you. Okay? And it deals with a lot of what's going on the inside of us, our subconscious. The things that have happened to us that may have been unfortunate and a bit taboo. That's the stuff that some of us just bury. We've all had some unfortunate experiences, some worse than others, but we all have to move on. Some people don't process and deal with and heal from those experiences. They just throw them in a closet and just move on with life. Well, what's going to happen is you're going to see a lot of those people who have not dealt with those things. Pluto is going to be unearthing that. Pluto's going to be unlocking those closets. It's not unlocking a closet. Let me take that back. Pluto's busting in the door. That's the intensity and the power of Pluto. Pluto is saying, okay, you didn't deal with this, so now you're going to deal with it. So Pluto's going to come in like the SWAT team, busting in that door, not knocking, not saying, hey, such and such. No, they're coming in, banging through the door, snatching up those skeletons in the closet, shaking them out, and saying, okay, yeah, this is what we got to get rid of. All right. So what that involves you looking at that, and how that's going to affect you is the pain, because you can't, heal anything if you don't look at it. And it's going to be painful to look at it, but you have to look at it. You have to deal with that pain. And then at that point, you can process it and move on. And some people have not gotten to that point. They just dealt with the situation that happened to them, put it in a closet and moved on. So you're going to see a lot of unfortunate situations where people are going to be literally dragged against their will to deal with some of the hidden subconscious things that have happened to them that they've tried to pack away. Okay? So one thing you also want to keep in mind with Pluto being in retrograde is you don't want to get into any love triangles and any power struggles, because it will not benefit you. So you're going to see people going through things in reference to this Pluto retrograde, because it's about transforming. It's about taking whatever is in you and holding you back and pulling that out so that you can process it and move on and rebirth and be the new you. All right. So now we're going to talk about Saturn in retrograde. Okay. Saturn went into retrograde on April 27th, and it's going to be there the whole summer. It's not going to be stationary or in the shadow period until September 19th. Now, Saturn is a planet that deals with limitations and practicality. A lot of people look at Saturn as the planet that teaches you your lessons in life. That's where you're going to learn your hard lessons, okay? And that is also in retrograde in the 10th house, along with Pluto. So that's, again, the ambitions, your motivations, your career aspirations, who you're known as, what your reputation is, and how people see you, okay? Now, with Saturn in retrograde, it deals with karma, okay? Karma, breaking routines that no longer serve you. It deals with, you'll see people procrastinating, or you may be procrastinating depending on if this energy affects you. Getting rid of, just old routines that no longer serve, and you'll see that a lot in the political arena where, you always have people lobbying to change rules, but you're going to see changes in prolific rules, things that have been, common for years at a time. These laws and rules are in place, and you're going to see these things start to crumble down and change. I was just looking at something on C-SPAN about a month and a half ago where they're trying to change the laws with climate control. Okay, so things like that, where they're changing the old outdated ways and bringing in new. That's just on a macro level, okay? And a minor level and a micro level, you may see that some people around you may be depressed. A lot of people may be lonely. You may see people who have no motivation, because normally when Saturn is the ruler of the 10th house, Normally, when everything is going good with Saturn in the 10th house, people are motivated. People are on their grind. They're on their ambition. They're ready to go do what they got to do to put in the work to get what they got to get. So you'll notice that the opposite will happen. So people will be less motivated. They'll be procrastinating, putting things off. The routines that you may have had, to get things done and to do things, that may change now because you may see that it no longer serves you, or the universe may think it no longer serves you. So it'll wipe it out. So just imagine Pluto, the transformation, and Saturn, dealing with karma and these retrograde energies that Saturn brings, depression, loneliness. Sometimes people will lose distance with their friends. They won't be as close. Breaking old routines. These are things that people don't want to deal with. Okay? But you got Pluto and Saturn both in retrograde in this house. So there's a lot going on. So you're going to see people going through things. You really are. All right? So we touched on Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter. They all went into retrograde in April. Still in retrograde, going to be in retrograde for this month of July. Now let's talk about the recent changes that are coming. So on June 21st, Neptune went into retrograde, and it's going to be in retrograde until around Thanksgiving. Okay? And Neptune is about idealism, compassion, dreams, imagination, creativity, illusions. All right? And that's going to be retrograde in its home, its house, which is the 12th house. Okay? And 12th house is Pisces, just so you know. All right? And the 12th house deals with places of seclusion, institutions like monasteries, jails, asylums, nursing homes, any of these types of facilities. Did I leave anything out? Nursing homes, I got that. Also deals with self-imposed prisons. Also deals with secretive energies. People keep a lot of secrets. Secretive matters. Also deals with unknown enemies. So when Neptune is in retrograde, and again, remember, it deals with your dreams, your imaginations, creativity, illusions. When it's in retrograde, you're going to see a lot of people who are going to be woken up to the reality of things. So there's a lot of people, things may have happened to them. And so they put on a different persona, and so they live in an illusion, to try to protect themselves from the things that happen to them. This goes a lot with Pluto, okay? And it goes a lot with Saturn, because Saturn deals with karma. Your karma, whatever energy you put out there, it's going to come back to you. So people are going to be collecting their karma. I forgot to mention that with Saturn, when retrograde in the 10th house. But these all tie in together, these energies. So with Neptune, it has a lot to deal with karma as well, because it has to do with things that people have tried to push to the side, the things that have happened to them that they may not want to deal with, and so they live a life of illusion. Well, with Neptune in retrograde, people are going to start seeing the reality of their situations. Not only the reality of their situation, but the reality and the realness of other situations. So people may have been putting on fronts. Those fronts a lot of those things are going to be revealed now. And so some unfortunate things could happen. And that could be people not being able to deal with that reality that they are being forced to look at about themselves. And so they may not be able to deal with it. So on the far end of things, on the extreme end of things, not too extreme, but it's reality and it happens. A lot of people are not going to be able to cope. So people resort to escapism, which is a characteristic of the 12th house, escapism. And so you'll find that people may be dealing with drugs to deal with their reality. They may be trying to suppress the pain through whatever drug of choice they want to use, okay? And as a result of that, the 12th house deals with institutions, it deals with mental facilities, it deals with rehabilitation centers, places that will seclude you away from the public. So as a result of Neptune being in retrograde and people not being able to deal with the realities that are going to be stripped from in front of their eyes in reference to their lives and the things that they've been through, some people may resort to escapism and using drugs, and some of those people may have been people who have been fighting drug addiction. So you may see some people unfortunately relapse, okay, and go back in and out of rehabilitation centers. You may also see criminals relapse. You may have criminals in a situation where I just got out of jail, I can't find a job, I can't go back out into the streets to make money because that will put me back in a worse situation. So the reality that they're dealing with is very difficult. So they may use different forms of escapism, which could be, going back into criminal activity, okay, and dealing with drugs to cope. All right, not all, but you may see some instances of this. So when you see it, just be aware that these are some of the energies that are going on, and this is why these energies are going on. Just to give you an understanding of what some people are going through. Your life may be fine, but some people they're not gonna be, and it's just important for you to show compassion and understanding and just have a general understanding of what's going on so that you're not so judgmental and, mean to these people who are going through these changes, So that is basically what's going to go on with Neptune. The paranoia, people have phobias. So people will be, there may unfortunately be people who can't deal with the illusion anymore, and the reality is coming to them of it, and they can't deal with the reality. So they may need medication. They may need to be medicated. They may need to go see a psychiatrist or a spiritual leader or a counselor. And we already talked about the spiritual leaders when we talked about Saturn in retrograde in the 10th, Jupiter. Okay, so you see how all these things tie in. So, and then you got the transformation of Pluto, and then the karma of Saturn, and people not dealing with the reality and illusions of things, and with Neptune in retrograde. So all of these energies are tying in. So this is why I, again, named this video The Cruel Summer, because if people are not aware of what's going on and that these planetary alignments are going to be causing some of these situations, they're not going to know how to deal with it. It's going to be really stressful for them. And if you're a friend or a family member or, a colleague or co-worker of these people, you're going to see them going through this, and you're just going to be a little bit more compassionate because you understand. Okay? So let's talk about Mercury. Mercury has yet to go into retrograde. First of all, let's talk about the solar eclipse, because that's what's coming next. That's on July 2nd, July 3rd, depending on where you live. But the solar eclipse is going to be, the sun is going to be in the 4th house, which is the house of Cancer. So that deals with the house of your ancestors, your paternal mother, relationship with your mother, your family, your roots, everything that has to do with, family, what you call family. Okay. Now, the solar eclipse will put people in a position where, and it's not going to affect everybody in this manner, okay? But what it may do is it may unearth some things that go on in the home, okay? Now, you'll see that people may possibly, let me see, I wrote something down in reference to this. Like, people will become irritable and frustrated because they may not understand that sometimes the lunar eclipse or the solar eclipse will bring on that energy. So you'll have people who may be a little bit irritable. The tensions may be a little bit higher. And remember, the residual effects from a solar eclipse can last up to a year. All right. So, and if people are not familiar with what's going on and they don't really know, as far as, it may affect the house where your sun is located. Let's put it that way. It'll affect you more so where your sun is located. So you want to pay attention to that. Look at your birth chart. But if you're not aware of this, you just may be experiencing unfortunate feelings and energies, and you just don't know why. Okay? So with the solar eclipse, we have to pay attention to that because that's very transformative as well. Coupled with all of the other energies that are transformative as far as all the other planets that are in retrograde, that is on top of it. Okay, so that's the solar eclipse coming on July 2nd. Then the next phase that's coming in as far as retrograde is Mercury. Mercury is going to go in retrograde in the 4th house on the 19th. Okay, and this is the house of family again, your ancestors, things like that. Now with Mercury, Mercury is the ruler of communication and making sense of things. All right. And so when Mercury is in retrograde, a lot of communication issues occur. People misunderstand people. Don't sign any contracts until after the retrograde. See if you can put it off. If you can't, just try to make sure you understand everything. Ask all the questions you can to make sure you understand what's going on. You really don't want to sign contracts during a retrograde. You got to be careful of traveling as well. Travel can be delayed. Anything that has to do with technology and communication can screw up. So people may have problems with their cars. Get your car checked out. If your computer's on the fritz now, you may want to consider getting a new computer. There's going to be all types of glitches. If you bank online and do things online, and this is really important, you may want to be careful about that right now because all kinds of glitches and things could occur. Okay, with that. You could also, because you have this transformation energy of the other planets, and you have the solar eclipse in the fourth house, and Mercury in retrograde in the fourth house, there may be some problems with people having issues in the home with their family members, problems with communication, especially parents and children trying to relate and communicate with each other. There may be relationship issues going on, and just the communication in general with people in your home. Summertime is the time for family reunions. You just want to pay more attention and be more compassionate of your family members and not take everything they say personal, because Mercury's going to be in retrograde till the 31st. So, and then you have the shadow period where that happens 2 weeks after that. So you got a lot of that going on as well. So there's a lot of communication problems that are going on top of the fact that people are going to be going through transformations. Okay. Then on July 8th, we have Chiron, which is the wounded healer, going into retrograde in Aries. Aries is the house that deals with yourself, your personality, and who you are. And that's going to, I think that's going to tie in a lot with all the other energies, because especially with Pluto, with you dealing with, taboo and hidden things that might have happened to you, and healing those pains, because Pluto helps you to transform and heal as well. But Chiron is going to be implemented with that. So again, a lot of people going through a lot of transformation, dealing with things that they didn't deal with, psychological issues that they may have had, and especially in the fourth house as a child growing up, that deals with some of the things that you went through in your family. Also, you're going to see a lot of transformation as far as generational changes. Saturn gets rid of old, outdated ways. So things that might have been going on in your family and how your family conducts communication and just their family business, you may see that being changed because of Saturn in retrograde, and the solar eclipse in the fourth house, as well as Mercury being in the fourth house, being in retrograde in the fourth house. Did I say that right? Mercury? Yeah, in the fourth house. It's going to be on the 19th. All right, and then on top of that, July 16th, we have the full moon and a partial lunar eclipse. The full moon is going to be in Capricorn, okay? And Capricorn resides in, it's a constellation that resides in the 10th house. And we already talked about Saturn being in the 10th house in retrograde and Pluto being in the 10th house in retrograde. That has to do with your ambitions, your reputation, who you're known as. So you may see with a Mercury in retrograde with the communication and the full moon in Cap, some of the negative aspects you may see is people spreading rumors about people, because again, the 10th house deals with your reputation and who you are and who people know you as. So you're going to see a lot of gossip with the Mercury in retrograde, a lot of things that are not true being said about people, just a lot of talk about people and what they're doing and things like that. Don't believe everything you hear, especially with this Mercury retrograde going on. Do not believe everything you hear. A lot of people's reputations are going to be tarnished, or people attempting to tarnish other people's reputations. And there's just a lot of negative energies that's going to be going on. So we need to really, really just pay attention to what's going on with everybody, what's going on in our lives. Keep your eyes open so that you're alert to what people are experiencing, whether it's in your family, whether it's you, whether it's your colleagues, your co-workers, people you do business with, people you work with, whether it's locally, in your local area, nationally, worldwide. There's a major shift going on, a major transformative shift. A lot of people are going to experiencing this, and it's not going to be easy for a lot of people, because a lot of people are not even going to know that that's what's going on. Okay, so just imagine you walking around with a blindfold just trying to get around. This is the people who may not understand what these retrogrades are meaning and what they're going to be doing as far as the energy that's going to be emitting from the effect of these retrogrades. Okay, you watching this video will be the equivalent of you being able to take the blindfold off, and at least you're able to see that there's a big pothole 10 feet in front of you. So now that you can see that pothole, you're like, okay, there's a pothole there. I'm going to figure out how to navigate that. And so that is the purpose of this video, to help you to navigate these energies, to help you to see, yeah, there's a pothole there. There might be a ditch in the road. There may be a crossroads but at least I know these things are coming, or I'm aware that these things may present themselves to me, which would better arm me to be able to get through this cruel summer. All right. So please leave your comments below. Again, this is just my interpretation of things that are going on. And I wanted to share this with people so that people could get a better understanding of what they're going to experience or what they may see people experiencing, so they could just make it without driving themselves bonkers, okay, and going crazy. All right, talk to you soon, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Peace out.